Hey guys, I'm Liz Borrow and today is an episode on styling. Again. Although I've done a video on styling before, this is a part 2 on that, and it's looking at very specific issues from other photographers and what they've experienced specifically with styling. So I've been inspired to ask photographers whether they style, and if they don't style, why they don't style. And running a poll, one of the major concerns was actually money, expense, that styled shoots are expensive to organize. Now, my solution to that is collaborative shooting, and then actually having a plan of action where the photos come out to a publication or on a big platform so that the collaborators get something of worth in return. One of the other major concerns was that people don't know how to style, or they don't have the inspiration to actually do the styling. So with that, watch the other video. It will be in the link in the description below. There'll be a link. One of the main reasons I wanted to do this specifically is because I've also had issues with styled shoots, although it's my speciality and I absolutely love doing them. Because it's such a big scope of managing vendors and getting so many different people on board, there's always room for error, and when error happens, it can make the actual experience of a styled shoot quite unpleasant. Here's a case study, and she basically says, last week I did a collaboration with a company for a styled shoot. I had an argument with the company's owner yesterday regarding my advertising spot, and things went pear-shaped. He said he doesn't want to be associated with my company anymore and don't want me as a client. The agreement for the shoot was that they will be credited on the website, or that the vendors will be credited on the website and on social media. So what happens now? If they choose not to be associated with me, can I request for the images of my work not to be used, as I won't be credited? Only being the makeup artist, I know it will be easy for them just to edit out the footage of me and not mention me. I understand they own the images and I probably just need to let it go. If that's the case, will I be allowed to still use the images in my portfolio? So in this case, it's not an issue with a photographer, but it's an issue coming from a makeup artist. We are all vendors and we all kind of get those horrible experiences when it comes to styled shoots. So in this situation, the makeup artist had a fallout with the company, who was not a photographer but was a wedding directory essentially, who organized the styled shoot. And because they had an issue with the directory listing, they then told her that they don't want her as a makeup artist on the styled shoot, and they don't want to give her recognition for her part of it. She did give her time and her effort, and in this case she does have the right to actually say that, look, we had an agreement, you do need to give me recognition. When it comes to things like that are collaborative, each person has a part of property within that shoot, even if the photographs lie with the photographer. Okay, so that's one of the issues. Things to resolve that is to have a contract and an agreement in place. If it's not a contract, have as much written communication over email as you possibly can to make sure that in writing it says that you get something from that styled shoot. One of the downsides I found to styled shoots is that it sets an unrealistic expectation for wedding clients, especially if you as a photographer follow a more documentary style. I've had plenty of clients who will send me wedding images pulled from Pinterest as examples of what they expect their wedding photos to look like. A large portion of those images will be from styled shoots or of professional models. Then, as their photographer, you have to explain to them that A, they're not models and won't look nor pose like models on such a stressful day, and B, we have small, often rushed windows of time to capture a wedding day, not the hours of stress-free time a styled shoot often offers. I have a situation with a styled shoot that I did about a year ago. I stay in Johannesburg, but I organized a mini styled shoot with some local vendors in Jeffreys Bay. There was no cost involved for anyone. I did the photography, a local makeup artist did the makeup, a designer offered a dress, and then I bought some flowers for the props. The florist later contacted me. The florist asked to use some of the photos for business card design. I didn't charge them, but consented to them using them, as all people involved were happy to share and encourage some exposure and marketing at the time of the shoot. So in short, the model that was part of the style shoot tried to sue the florist for using her pictures. When the photographer tried to contact the model to resolve the issue, she said that she never signed a release form and she wants compensation. So in short, make sure that you have model release forms. Style shoots are all about collaboration, and in the spirit of collaboration, you need to understand these things. Another concern that came through from photographers were that vendors can easily start gossiping or skindering about one another and about each other's services afterwards, before, and that leaves kind of a poor taste, and that there's a lot of conflict within the industry, specifically the wedding industry, between vendors, and it's almost competitive, and there's no nice relationships. So very often people are like, yay, wonderful collaboration with style shoots, but there's also times where people have bad experiences with other vendors and they talk about one another, and that whole situation just leaves for the industry to be very low and in not good form. So a lot of photographers try and stay away from that. My recommendation would be that you should always be professional. Don't talk about other vendors, regardless of whether you dislike them or had an issue with the specific service they provided. Once the style shoot is done, you don't need to ever use them again if you don't want to, but rather remain in integrity and leave it up to you to make your choices about who you use in the future for style shoots. One of the major things from other vendors, not from photographers, have been issues with timing of the actual receival of the photographs or the video, that they wait very long periods for it and they're unhappy with that. And as a photographer, I have to say it does take time, often because style shoots are collaborative shoots. For us, we do our day jobs of photographing for paying clients that we edit at night time, that it may take some time. In other situations, often with me, what's happened is that it's meant for a specific publication, and then even when it's a collaboration, you're not allowed to showcase those photos or send out those photos until the publication has published the photographs. So bear that in mind if you're a different vendor. And then also an issue that I've seen is that people don't always tag everyone who has been involved in the style shoot. Now, if you've paid for everything and it's for your portfolio, I don't necessarily see the need to tag everyone. I do it, I like to do that. It's just, for me, I don't mind doing it. There's no extra work in tagging people I've had a good time with. But when it's a collaboration, tag everyone, whether you've had a bad experience or not. It's just professional, and that was probably the agreement from the get-go, is to get exposure on socials. So make sure you know who your vendors are. Don't just name them, actually tag them, because then clients who see your work can actually follow through on a link to their page. And I think that's quite important to do. What other horror stories do you have about style shoots that you've been involved in, whether you're a photographer, a makeup artist, a designer? It would be very interesting to see from other vendors' perspective if there's more concerns with style shoots and how we can actually solve them together as an industry. If you want a more detailed approach to how to do style photography, I've done a video on the do's and don'ts of style photography a few weeks back. It will, as mentioned before, be in the description as a link below. Follow me on social media. Thank you. Have a good week. Remember to be inspired and evoke your own creativity.